You are 100% successful at being exactly where your mind thinks is safe for you to be. Mind rewiring is the perfect blend of knowing it's possible and inevitable, and also taking steps toward it. It's so weird when you allow yourself to be open, give yourself permission to let yourself create reality. I've had a client hit 1 million and that was her goal. And I was even like, holy smokes. Do you know how many clients have gotten pregnant? That's how amazing your mind is. It is capable of that.
Welcome back to Live Into Your Brilliance, the place where we go deep to find the experiments and the insights that can help us see the truth of who we are and live the lives that we love right now. We've got a cool guest with us, Lynnsey. So Lynnsey is a certified hypnotherapist. Lynnsey helps people rewire their subconscious so that they can release their limitations. And I love this idea of stepping into their lives that feel as good as they look, which, sounds great to me. She has an amazing membership that she runs for her community called Align Your Mind. And I believe there's an app for that as well. And she also has her own podcast called High Vibin. And what you're going to find out about Lynnsey is she blends neuroscience, soul alignment, manifestation, in ways that are both deeply practical and also powerfully intuitive. So I think it's fair to say, Lynnsey, your work is all about helping people achieve their highest potential in the easiest, most enjoyable way possible, which sounds good to me. So really looking forward to this conversation, and you're very welcome on Live Into Your Brilliance.
I'm so excited. Thank you for that. That was a really good intro. I like that intro. And it's funny when you say like neuroscience and manifestation, they sound so different, but what I have learned is that it's two sides of the same coin. Like when I learned in the clinical sense, it's like be stoic and wear the name tag and only talk about nail biting and grinding your teeth and like, the habit control kind of thing. And as I kind of went online with my business and started helping all kinds of different people, I found that I work best in the language of energy, in the language of alignment, in the language of like your thoughts create your world. And we're all saying the same thing here. It's getting your mind in line with your goals. It's getting your energy and your whole being in line with what you actually want so that it feels effortless, because it really is. Your mind is doing it already all the time. So I just hope you kind of direct that flow.
I would love to know what you mean by getting your mind in alignment.
Let's play a game. So give me, you can give me an actual goal you have, or you can just make one up. Anything. What do you want?
I would love to build a garage to store all the toys up in Maine and have an office above it.
Why don't you have it already?
Because there is a pretty complicated process, because I think a portion of the land that we'd have to build it on belongs to my neighbor. And so there's some interesting plot lining and negotiation to navigate. And then ultimately it's about like, well, unless we like spend a lot of time up here, it's probably not the right place to deploy our hard-earned dollars.
Do you see what you just told me? You gave me two limiting beliefs that I can just name off the top of my head. Number one, it's complicated, which it might be, but that is the first thing you said. It's complicated. And then you said, I'm not really sure if it's something we want to do. So this is just what I'm that's step one, is figuring out, well, why don't I have it already? You are not to just lay it on super thick right away. I'm probably going to, though. You are 100% successful at being exactly where your mind thinks is safe for you to be. You are 100% successful. Your mind is a goal machine. So if there's something that you don't have that you want, the reason you don't have it yet is simply because it really comes down to, is this something safe for us to do? Is this safe for Us meaning you and your mind, you and your being. Is this safe for us? I don't know. Is there anything that goes against this? Is there anything that we've experienced in the past, or is there anything unknown about this that freaks us out? And so that's usually what slows the reality bending around you, because it's just always doing that. It's always bending around what it thinks is okay for you to have. Now, I always will talk about action needs to be part of it. You can't just sit there and be like, I will have a garage and just wait. I will have an office upstairs. Where is it? Where is my office? Because you have to do something. Manifestation, or I guess mind rewiring, is the perfect blend of knowing it's possible and inevitable, and also taking steps toward it. So you seem like an action guy. You both kind of seem like action guys. But where I thrive and where I help people understand is it's not always just about action either. Because if you hustle and you grind and you work yourself to the bone and you get burned out, it's not doing what you think it's doing. In fact, it's probably doing the opposite. And so what I love about the conversations you guys have is I think you kind of talk about that already. You kind of help people understand that, like, yeah, action's great, but you also have to like feel it. Like you have to feel into it too. It's not just about the physical. So yeah. So basically what I'm trying to say is everybody has limiting beliefs, whether they're big or small, consequential or, menial, like little teeny tiny ones. They're around, and I just help you understand what they are, and at the same time help you learn that you can teach your subconscious what is safe. You can teach it what is safe. If you kept, this is kind of getting away from me, this example of your garage, but if you were to just tell yourself, yeah, it's going to be easy. That'll be easy. If I want to do it, it could be easy. If I want to do it, it could be easy. It just feels better. That's really all we're trying to do to begin with. And then we can get into the more subconscious stuff of like, is this safe?
Mm. That really resonated. And I was smiling while you were saying it because I'm acutely aware of those limiting beliefs.
I mean, and it's so easy. And I really want to make it clear, like, we all have them. We all have them. But if
Yeah.
anybody's listening to this and feels like doing this, just think of something that you want that you don't have and just say, well, why might I not have this? There are tangible reasons. There's bureaucracy, there's rules, there's regulations, there's things that you probably physically can't do. I don't have wings, okay? I'm never going to have wings. But that's also a belief too. What if I decided to believe I did? I don't know. That's something else for a different episode. But it's all about like what you believe is possible. What you believe is possible for you. So I just really help people understand that. And you can play this game and ask yourself, why don't I have it yet? Is it a belief? Is it something outside of my control? And start there.
Riffing off what you said, Lynnsey. So, you said you rewiring the subconscious.
Can I explain how hypnotherapy works? Is that okay?
Yeah.
This is how I explain it to my clients. This is how I explained it to my husband, who was like, what are you doing? And then when I explained it this way, he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. He's also very, very analytical. So it works for everybody, I think. If you can just imagine when you're born, just imagine your mind is a circle, not your brain. We know that's a different thing. The mind is the more abstract metaphysical part of you. The mind is a circle. Just pretend. The only thing babies are born with is the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling, and the fight or flight response, which is triggered with loud noises and falling. So that is it. Everything else from that point on is a learned behavior. Obviously, you're blinking, you're breathing, your nervous system, all of that stuff is part of that as well. But as far as the limits, loud noises and falling. So as you grow, as you go out into the world and you experience trees and sky and animals and alphabet, you learn certain things. That's why they say kids are sponges, because they're just absorbing everything. You learn certain things about life. You learn certain things about reality. You learn certain things about yourself. I like broccoli. I don't like corn. I love it when I have a birthday. I don't like when I get in trouble, that kind of thing. Those are what I call knowns, truths, things that are true about you. And when you are about 7 to 9, it's different for everybody, but I just say like 6 to 10, we'll say, you get what's called a critical filter or critical mind. It's basically the barrier between the newly formed subconscious and the conscious. So now there's two parts. You have the conscious. The conscious is in control of your decision-making skills, your rationalization, your reasoning, your analytical skills, your willpower, your logic. All of that stuff is conscious. It's also about 5 to 10% of your mind power. And that's being generous. Everything I read, every time there's a new study, it's like, it's actually 2%. It's actually 1%. I don't know. I'm going to say 5 to 10% of your mind. So the rest of that is subconscious, automatic, things you don't have to think about. The fact that you like certain foods, the fact that you write, you don't have to think about how to write every time you write. You just think of what you want to say. Same with speech, same with driving, same with riding a bike, same with these hand gestures. So I'm choosing the words I say, but I don't have to relearn how to speak. The hand gestures are all subconscious, except for now that I'm doing it consciously. So all day, every day, your conscious and subconscious are constantly working together. But the subconscious is in charge of everything you don't have to think about, including limiting beliefs. So when you have a new goal or idea, it starts in the conscious. That's where all of your ideas start. And then that idea kind of checks in with the critical filter, which I like to think of as like the bouncer in a club, right? Like the doorman. And he's got a clipboard and he's looking at all the stuff inside your subconscious mind, things that are true about you, things that it knows will keep you alive and keep you safe. And it checks the clipboard for, I don't know, $1 million. I want $1 million. Is it on here? No. In fact, there are things that maybe go against that, like money is the root of all evil. I'll never have enough. You guys know there's like so many stories about money that teach us that lack mentality. Even if we didn't come across it directly, we've picked it up along the way. Most of us have. And so it will just chuck that idea right back out. And that's why sometimes when we start a new goal, it feels exciting. It feels possible. It feels expansive. And then something happens. We get discouraged. Our mind starts working. It's like, but is this really possible? Should you really do this? And then we kind of, fine. It just happens. We do that kind of starting over, stopping, getting discouraged, starting over again. So what I do with hypnotherapy, this is where hypnotherapy is perfect, is I take that goal, your idea, your beautiful inspired vision, and we create a very receptive state of mind. You've all felt it. You do it all day, every day anyway, but we create a very receptive state of mind. It's kind of like creating a pathway through the critical filter. We tip the bouncer, we tip the doorman, like $200, get in to a space where the subconscious is now listening and receptive to what we're teaching it. And in that space, you can teach it, actually, $1 million is a natural next step for me. Actually, it is safe for me to have more than enough money. It is safe for me to have this relationship. It is safe and natural for me to have these things. And we're reteaching the subconscious what is safe. You can do this consciously. This is why we have affirmations. This is why we have journaling. This is why we have all kinds of these things that help you retrain your mind. However, hypnotherapy will always be the shortcut. If you do it consciously, you're using 10% of your mind to get to that 80, 90%. It's like chopping down a tree vertically. You could do it. It's possible. But like, why?
Take a long time.
Yeah, it take a long time. It's so much harder. You'll be a sweaty mess by the end of it. You might as well just do the easy thing, the short way. And when I say that we all do it every day, everybody goes into a trance state every single day, whether you're waking up or falling asleep or driving home or reading a book or getting a deep tissue massage. How many of us have had like a nice foot rub or a massage and you're just like, you went somewhere else? Or one time I got my lashes done and I was gone. It was weird. I was like, I didn't think I could do it. I don't think I could get into a trance state like that. But your eyes are closed and you're just sitting there. So it's very easy for us to do. I just help you do it when you want to, when you have intention behind it, and so that you can use it to your benefit. I call it your superpower. Might as well use it to help you out.
That's fascinating and super useful. I love the analogy and thank you for explaining it so beautifully. How much are you spending time with your patients or your clients appealing to logic versus the rewiring of the subconscious? And you kind of answered the question.
Well, and I think that appealing to the logic is important too. I mean, in the first 30 minutes of the session, we call it the venting phase, the cognitive behavioral therapy phase, where you get to actually talk about your day, talk about your week, talk about what went on, how you're stressed out, how you might have had some really good wins this week. And we just kind of talk about what we're going to work on that week. And I usually will use their words, their script, their phrases in the session, in the script that I create for hypnotherapy. Just will create it in the session. Like, what do you want me to tell you? What do you want me to tell your subconscious? Because it's always their agenda anyway. And so while they're speaking to me, I'll write down certain words, certain phrases that I know is their language, because this is very important. Are you ready? There is no voice on this planet, no language, no voice on this planet more powerful than your own. Now, I can't mimic every client's voice, but what I can do is mimic their language, how they relate to themselves. And in that way, it's giving them the best opportunity to have the most success in every session. Self-talk's important, guys. Your voice is very powerful.
Yeah, like, so I've got two questions. One, which is, so if someone, let's say it was Bilos, and he was in session with you, and you talk to his subconscious mind using his language as best you can, his words, how does change show up? Like, is it that Mark would just suddenly
Cluck like a chicken?
Been known to happen.
Brag like a
Been known
duck?
to happen.
I do love this question, and I kind of use it. I use it as a way to show you how powerful hypnotherapy is, and at the same time how annoying it is, because it is so sneaky. Okay, everything that you do automatically, you don't know you're doing it. That's the whole reason it's automatic. That's the definition of subconscious, is you don't know you're doing it. And so when a new behavior is now subconscious, you won't know. You probably won't. You'll feel better. You'll be like, oh, today I woke up and I didn't have a sense of dread. Today I woke up and I actually feel hopeful. Today I woke up and I chose this instead of this. Interesting. And it will show up in a way that you won't know that it's working until you come up against the same challenge you had before and you now choose something different. It is so sneaky that you actually don't know until you know. And you look around at your life and you're like, oh my goodness, how did this happen? Now, that's most of the time. Sometimes it is very quick and it's very in your face. I've had so many like crazy success stories with clients that when I said $1 million, it's kind of a joke, but honestly kind of not, because I've had a client hit 1 million and that was her goal. And I was even like, holy smokes, that's crazy. Nice one. We've had women. Okay. Can I just say, it's so weird when you allow yourself to be open and you give yourself permission to let yourself create reality. Do you know how many clients have gotten pregnant? I don't want, that's such a weird thing. I don't, it's just so often that it's like, is this
That's
a thing
funny.
that I didn't know? Like, is this actually a thing? I don't know. Look, women that have been
how
trying.
many of them were men?
None. That I will say none. No, that would be, I would be in a scientific journal. I think it would make history if I could hypnotize somebody into pregnancy like that. But I think whether these clients were trying, whether they were scared that it would never happen, whether they just never thought about it, and there's something about that's a physical manifestation, of course, of your belief that anything is possible and that you are open and receptive to good things, whatever. But there's something about giving yourself that space to allow your empowerment, confidence, to give yourself permission to feel like you could. And that's not just pregnancy. I'm not talking about pregnancy anymore. I'm saying when a client comes to me and they start to feel this, that's when you are shocked. That's when you begin to kind of look around and just, I mean, I don't even know how to explain it, but I try to tell people when they start to work with me, like, I wish I could explain to you what I see 6 months from now, but there's no way to explain it. How am I going to tell somebody, oh, you don't know it's working until it works? I haven't figured out a way to successfully explain it, Thank God people still come to see me for hypnotherapy because they see it in the end, but it's so hard to explain because there are no tangible, you can't guarantee anything anyway, but there's not really anything that I can point to besides other examples. There's no marker because everyone is so different. And whatever you want is not what my next client's going to want, and vice versa. So it's magical and beautiful and also really weird.
So one of the things that's always fascinated me is exactly what you've just said, which is an unknown limiting belief. You can't know what it is because it's unknown, just in the same way as if you've shifted something in your subconscious that you're unaware of, you remain unaware until you notice that you're suddenly different. Um, and therefore, like, I'm always curious about how people approach it. I've done lots of I've been a coach and I've done lots of coaching. And one of the things I realize is that what you perpetuate is what you think are your limiting beliefs. So, like, when you're in a coaching session, like, the only thing you can talk about are what you believe to
Yeah,
be your limiting beliefs. So that's great. And we might argue for those, but you can't possibly surface the real the real record that's playing underneath the
consciously.
surface that's running subconsciously. So how do you differentiate between those two things, like between people arguing for a limiting belief versus the actual limiting belief? And can people use hypnotherapy without having a goal, just to say, I would like to go to work on my subconscious so that I truly do know at a subconscious level that everything is possible and inevitable?
Okay, I'm gonna do my best. There's so much in my brain that I just want to spit out, and it's not going to make sense. But the first thing I want to answer is, you are 100% right that a subconscious limiting belief is just that. And how can a client really truly know if they're talking about it? How do they know that that's really what it is? And I think I can answer the first part and the second part in the same way, which is to say, I have had clients, some of my best clients, come to me and they're like, I don't know. I have no idea. I just know that I don't feel the way I want to feel. There's something going on that's stopping me, and I don't know what it is. And I know it's in my mind. And so that's enough to work with. This may sound weird, but I don't know. I feel like it's a safe space. My favorite way to help someone discover what their limiting belief or what actually is stopping them is to go into hypnosis, and they'll speak to me the whole time in hypnosis and talk to whatever it is. They'll create an image in the trance state, and whatever that image is represents something for them that is blocking them. And they believe that that is the thing that's blocking them. The subconscious is a really cool place, and I tend to believe that whatever comes up in the trance-like state is relevant to the situation. But let's just say, for funsies, that what they decide to see in hypnosis isn't in fact the limiting belief, but something they've just created in state. It doesn't really happen, but let's just say that it did. The fact that they believe that that is what's stopping them, and in the hypnosis are able to clear it, release it, get rid of it in whatever way they feel is best, and we go through that in the session, it works, because that is the power of the subconscious mind, and that is the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Placebos. Placebos, man. It's not a placebo. I don't want to say that. I mean, it is and it isn't. What am I going to say? It is kind of, because it's just your belief.
Yeah.
But that's how amazing you are. That's how amazing your mind is. It is capable of that.
It's not actually the detail behind the resistance, it's just resistance.
Yeah.
And so you're circumventing and dispelling the resistance.
Yeah. I would say, and again, what I will say again, what I said in the beginning, which is, when a client comes up with an image that stands for their resistance, their block, their limiting belief, there's never been an issue to be like, well, maybe that's not it. It's never come up. I just tend to believe that that's what it is. But even if it wasn't, it is. Like, it's just because that's what they're going through. And if you've ever experienced hypnosis, you know the feeling is like, it feels so real. when I do I do a higher self connection or like a soul connection in hypnosis, so that you have an image that stands for your higher wisdom, your soul, your future self, whatever. So that when you come up against your day to day challenges, you could be like, what would my future self do? And you can see them. Like it's so real in your mind because it has happened on a subconscious level. It's like a dream you can't forget because dreams fade. But what you do in hypnosis really doesn't. And it's just as connected to you. It's kind of a part of you at the end, you know?
So I don't know how this question is going to come out. This may just sound absolutely crazy, but from the way you explain it, it's almost as though, because Al and I have spoken a lot on this podcast about the way in which we as humans generally tend to try and doggedly preserve and create the reality we want, and we fiercely resist the reality we don't want, like either based on past experiences or things we see and what have you. And so you have this constant state of resistance, and you're trying to thread the needle, and that can cause a lot of suffering, pain, and I'm sure that's why a lot of people show up at your doorstep. But when you're able to circumvent that and and allow the subconscious to operate from a place of sort of clarity and safety, are you essentially tapping into the consciousness of the universe? And I mean, you mentioned it. You said,
I
like,
did.
babies are born, and we're not talking about the brain, we're talking about the mind. And babies are born with this beautiful, pure state of mind. And there are only two things that kind of give them the heebie-jeebies. Are we going back home in the most primal of ways?
I would not give you a hug so bad. Yes. Yes. Am I okay to like see? And I want to speak everyone's language, and I want to be able to be accommodating. But heck yes, that's what we're doing. Absolutely. My biggest goal in however I communicate, whether it's a podcast or my work or my podcast, is to just help you just crack the door of belief that you are so much more powerful and connected than you ever have been taught. And you are constantly being put up against other people's agendas and ideologies of what you should be. And at your core, and this is, I'm talking to the world, at your core, you are so powerful, magnificent, magnetic, just everyone is. And I think the biggest problem in our world is that people as a whole think they have to get their power by taking it from someone else, or just shove it down for the rest of their life and stay small. Like there's so many things that imagine where we would be if everybody was just like, yeah, I'm powerful and I'm by myself and I can do anything I want for myself and I don't have to worry about what anyone else is doing because I'm good. Imagine, like that's what I dream about. That's what I dream about at night. If I could just help people realize you don't have to look outside of yourself. In fact, the fact that you have had to look outside of yourself is really sad. And we've all had to do that. We still do it. Just once in a while, sit in quiet, ask yourself questions, get to know yourself a little better. And I promise you, you cannot know yourself and not like yourself. Dare I say, love yourself. And now I'm going to cry. Jeez. No, just kidding. It's true. It's true though. So yes, to answer your question very succinct, yes, I believe we are tapping into maybe collective consciousness, but even at the very basic level, your own higher wisdom.
I'm so grateful that you responded the way you did and articulated it the way you did, because on a personal note, when I when I become aware of the resistance, And I do sit quietly, and I don't try to do anything other than just observe. And then you fall back into what Al and I lovingly call the lazy boy of your consciousness, which is actually, you know, the Ed Blow energizer of your subconscious is like you have this profound, and I know this is personal, so maybe Al will tell you differently, but you have this profound sense of like, holy shit, there's something so much more powerful here. And you get that tingly excitement because you're like, oh, wow, this is kind of limitless. I don't even know where this can go, but I know it's there and I know it exists. And I know it will meet me at the point of my action if I just stop with the resistance.
Yeah. Oh, I got chills. That's good. Al, you're very quiet. What's going on?
Well, I'm just listening to you guys
He's
riff.
just vibing.
It's sometimes quite nice just to sit back and allow things to wash over you. The bit that just listening to both of you talk was, for me, is like, is that what we're all really looking for? You know, and I just wondered if the goal that we talk about at the beginning is, for most people, often just the gateway back to what they truly want, which is that feeling, that connectedness. And I'm curious about how you reconcile those two things, because there does seem to be, it feels to me like human beings are creative beings. Like, from the very fact that we are creating our reality moment by moment through the power of thought, we cannot be anything other than creative beings. And yet it is our desire to create that almost always keeps us away from seeing the fact that we're creative
Right.
beings.
Yeah.
And I'm just super interested how you reconcile those two things. Like, do you, with your clients, do they come to you thinking that they were here to get their garage with an office over the top? Or to what, and, you know, or to what degree do they come saying, I just want to feel myself. I want to love myself. I want to be at peace wherever I am, be it Michigan, Maine, or Manchester.
All M's. And so is Massachusetts.
Well, that's it. All the alliteration. There we go. That's where we are.
I would say I would like to think I've made myself my brand clear enough that if someone comes to me, they're going to know you're going to connect to your spirit team. You're going to connect to your higher wisdom. You're just going to, like, that's going to happen. But I tend to attract clients who, well, they don't say that in the first session. If that's what they want, they never tell me right away. It's, the presenting issue is usually never the same thing as we go on. So as we do a few more sessions and they begin to peel the onion and they get to learn things and discover things they didn't know about themselves, they didn't know that we're connected to each other, then it kind of shifts a little bit. But I don't know how many of them expect to connect to themselves in a deeper way. I do blast it everywhere I can. But I do know that that's what ends up happening with everybody is their takeaway from what I gather in their testimonials and what they've told me is that their takeaway is, sure, the thing's great, but now I can actually move in the world and navigate better than I've ever been able to do. And the resilience that they have and the bumps are less bumpy because now they have this core home that they know and they feel and they can recognize and they can claim it. Whereas before it's this intangible thing that sounds great, but how real is it really?
It's a funny thing, isn't it? Like, you could never put that on a sales brochure.
I know.
No one would freaking buy that thing ever.
No one.
And yet it's the thing that everyone wants. They're like, no, I don't want that place called home and to move. I want the $1,000,000. I want the garage. And it's such a shame because that is, we had a guy called Garrett Kramer on here a couple of months back, and he talked about the very act of seeking is what holds us away from peace, love, and joy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with creating, but just so long as you're not like seeking it as a function of your well-being.
Yeah.
But yet I just love hearing it in different ways, like whether it's hypnotherapy, whether it's the 3 principles. It doesn't really matter what your road is round the mountain.
Yeah.
Like, but what you find round the mountain is the same thing every time, and everything is possible from there. It's also just amazing to me how many people, once they get there, are like, oh, I'm not that interested in the thing anymore.
Okay.
Or if they are, it's from a different feeling. So
I had a client a while back, and she was like, I want to lose weight. And I don't, it's not my favorite thing to work with because I just don't find that I do my best work with that kind of thing. But, I did say yes to her, and we did work together. And I remember in the first session, she was saying how she just didn't like looking in the mirror and she didn't like having pictures taken of herself. And in my most loving way, I tried to express like, the way that I'm going to work with you is you're not going to care. How do you say that to someone, in the first session, like, you're just not going to, it might happen, sure, but that's not the priority. The priority is once you feel yourself on the inside, you will look yourself on the outside. Inside reflects the outside, as above, so below, yada, yada. But it just tends to happen. If you don't feel good on the inside, you're not going to feel like you look good on the outside, and vice versa. If you do feel good, if you feel like yourself, authentic, then when you look in the mirror, you will see you and you will love you. Incidentally, she did lose the weight she wanted to lose, but that's not the point. The point is she did also walk away with exactly what I said she would, which is you're going to like who you see. Because isn't that all like, wouldn't that be enough? Wouldn't it? If you could just look in the mirror and like who was looking at you? Oh, it's so nice. It's just so nice. And it sounds simple, I know, but
the fatter and bolder I get, the happier I am, Lynnsey. I just want you to know that.
I love that. And I just hope whoever is listening to this, the only goal should be, do I like who I am? Does my outside reflect how I feel on the inside? Because if it doesn't, then that's when you would probably seek some help. But if it does, then who cares? Who cares? We have to stop caring about what everybody thinks, I think.
Lynnsey, I'm sure the listener is as curious as I am about how did you fall into this? How did you come to, and what tickled your soul first? Or was your soul tickled after you sort of chose a certain path and then you're like, oh, wow, okay, I wasn't expecting to see that?
Well, how I got into this is, I'm sure you could surmise by now, I was a very weird child. I I would always be in the cemetery trying to like be psychic and figure out how everybody died. I was always very curious about the metaphysical part of human beings. Like, what is the mind? What is a spirit? What is a ghost? I wanted to be a ghost hunter. Don't want to, that was a long time ago, but I didn't know how else to translate that. And I did not know what a hypnotherapist was. When I was 20, I was studying criminology and criminal psychology because I thought, serial killers, why not? Let's do that. Let's go study that. Realized very quickly it wasn't for me. I did one semester and that was it. And my sister around the same time, not a coincidence, gave me a book called Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. If you're not familiar and you're into soul talk, I guess it's a great book, but he's basically a hypnotherapist who took his clients to basically their soul's journey. He talked to the soul of the person and their lessons and what they're supposed to learn in this life. It's crazy book. Didn't know what I was reading. Loved every bit of it. I was like, what is this? I need to know more. And I ingested all of his work so fast. And that actually triggered me. You know how when something happens that kind of activates you and then you find yourself making all of these life decisions that change your life forever? Well, a few months after I read that book, I moved to California by myself because I was like, I'm going to start my life. See you later. So I did that. And yeah, I haven't really, a lot of things happened in between, but I think once I read that book, as you said, it tickled me. Yeah, definitely. I think that counts. I was never going to be the same. And I did forget about it for a while when uh, I met a boy and I got married and had a kid. And then I thought, what do I want to do with my life? Because I don't want to go back to, I was working at a GameStop. I was selling video games, which I love video games, but not really what I want to do with my whole life. I wanted to stay with my kid. I wanted to figure that out. I wanted to decide what my life was going to look like. And I had that moment of, remember hypnotherapy? Do you remember how exciting that was? You came here to do that. Why don't you do that? And that was 8 years ago prior to this moment. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then I had the thought of like, no, you're a mom now. You got to do the responsible thing. That's for other people to do. Go get a job. Go be responsible. And I said, yeah, I probably should be responsible. And my shoulders slumped and my energy dimmed. And I was like, yeah, fine. But then I heard this little whisper. This is exactly how I remember it. It's probably because I've told this story so many times, but I did hear a quieter voice saying, but like, wait, why not? Like, why not you? And I went, you know what? Why not? Anyone who's ever done anything cool had to make this decision right here, which is, do I do this, the
Yeah.
thing I've always done, the easy thing, which is actually super uncomfortable and not reflective of who I am as a person? Or do I step out into the unknown and do the crazy thing and hope it works out? And even if it doesn't, I still did it. I still tried. And so I just said, what if I made a call? This story is actually pretty spooky. Wait, I'll make it quick. But I made a call. I got a tour of the institute. I did the tour. I called my husband from the school and I was like, can I do this? And it was not to ask permission. I think anyone who's ever kind of stepped out will understand this feeling of like, he was my last chance to back out. That was it. After that, I was like, I'm going to do it. But if he said, no, he would have, if he would have echoed my fears, I wouldn't have done it. But he said, you really want to do this? I said, yeah, I kind of really want to do it. And he goes, then you have to. We'll figure it out. Right? Right? I was like, wait, huh? So I have to do this now? So I was like, okay. Instead of going and getting a job, I ended up taking out a student loan. So sometimes your dream will look very much in the opposite direction of what you think it's supposed to look like. But I promise you, if you still feel it in your soul and your gut, you're on the right track. And I did. So I did it, haven't looked back, but here's the spooky part. Spooky part is after I graduated in 2013, I ended up working at the Institute to train the distance program. I was an instructor for the distance program. And I looked up my name in the database because I feel like I want to know what they said about me when I was a student here. I don't know. I just felt like it. Now I work here. It's like, it's a very, who gets this chance? So I looked up my name in the database and they had two profiles for me. One under Robinson, which is my maiden name, and one under Gutierrez, which is the student name that they had on file for me. I was like, how do they have my old name, my maiden name? And it turns out in 2005, when I had first read the book, 2004, I called them. I filled out an application for the distance department in LA. And mind you, this is not the same school that I wanted to go to when I moved to California. This is a different school that I called from Michigan in 2004 before I moved to LA. And they had my old number, my old address, and they said, like, tried to follow up 3 times. She never answered, which of course I didn't. I wasn't ready.
Wow.
But there's no way
That's
I ever could have made the connection of like, oh, that's the school I called when I was 2004. I didn't even remember doing it. It had been so long. It had been like 8 or 9 years. But yeah, I feel like my soul, my guidance system is such that I need those kinds of breadcrumbs, punches in the face, if you will, so that I know that I can't like logic my way out. Like that for me was like, there's no way I could be doing anything else. I knew then, I know now, I'll know tomorrow. I'm good. So yeah, it was the very spooky part. There's no question in my mind.
It's like a cool metaphor for the universe, isn't it? It's like you saw the universe's ledger saying, tried calling her 3
Yeah,
times. She's not
right.
picking up. She's not
Yeah.
ready.
Oh, that makes
But it's
perfect
okay.
sense.
Like in 8 years' time, she'll get to see the fact that it's always been on the cards for her.
I credit my first son when I had him. Like he came into this world and kicked me in the butt. Like, Mom, you have to do this. Because I never would have asked the question if I didn't have him to think about. Probably, I don't know for sure, but if I was gonna guess, I hadn't done it then. I hadn't done it yet. It took him coming and me saying, I just want to hang out with him and make my own hours and do my own thing. What do I like to do? And let's see if I can make some money out of it. And then it was hypnotherapy. So I think he was like, she's taking too long, guys. I'm just going to go and like figure this out for her. Okay. And then here we are.
But it's like you always say, Elle, like, I can't remember which episode it was with that. I think it was your friend from Manchester, and she was like, "What's coming for you is will get you anyway. Yeah, won't miss you."
Yeah, I like that.
And it's just a case of it is the universe working its magic and just being very patient, and eventually it just happens, and then, and then you literally got to see the ledger.
I told everyone it was the same office. Like I was working in the same office that I called. Like what? I told everybody. I was like, you guys will never believe. Look, that's me. That's me. So weird. So weird.
Lynnsey, can I ask you a question? So it's quite a practical question for the listener. So we just talked there about like how we can be patient, and just what's coming for you won't miss you. And I do think there's a big part of it, which is often just being able to accept that life is happening for you and not to you. And the more that you can really live into that, that's kind of where this possibility lives. But for some people, maybe that's easier than others. And I guess the question I had was, you seem quite a grounded, spiritual, you seem very connected to your spirituality, to your own soul, and to kind of trusting in the universe. Where do you see, or how would you describe people for whom hypnotherapy is the greatest opportunity in terms of just opening up that aperture? Because that's really what I hear in how you've described it is hypnotherapy is the possibility to just open up that aperture for you to connect back to home much more quickly. If someone's listening, they're going, how do I know if hypnotherapy is right for me? Like, what would you say?
Oof. Well, I have never gotten this question, but I always answer this question because I think it's important. And I'm sure that there are people out there that wonder. And I would say it's not right for anyone. Because even if you just do it, okay, let me give you this. So I've had clients come to me for the whole 12-week and then sign on for another 12-week. They want more and more. Even after they've accomplished their goals, there's nothing left on the docket. Here's what they do. They have 1 hour every week to talk about themselves, to express how they're feeling, to have space held for them, and then to enter a higher sense of consciousness where they can figure out things that maybe they didn't know they had questions about. Maybe they didn't know that they weren't understanding about themselves. So even if you just use it for 1 hour or 15 minutes to learn more about yourself, we're never done doing that. I don't know anyone that this wouldn't be great for. Whether you have a belief that is stopping you, whether you have no idea what you want, whether you're fine where you are and you have everything you ever need, anyone can still use hypnotherapy because it's so malleable to anything, really anything you want. It's malleable to anything you want. So there's always a use for it. I think it's good for everybody and everybody can do it. You do it every day anyway. If you've ever fallen asleep, you're already an expert.
No, that's cool. I like that answer. And what does a typical, again, I'm just kind of curious. I've never done it. Like I've done lots of different things to kind of experiment with. But what does a typical hypnotherapy program look like? If again, just if someone's curious and they want to run an experiment with you or with anybody, but what does that typically look like?
I can't speak for every hypnotherapist, but I could say they're probably similar. Most hypnotherapists that I've come across will do like weekly sessions, pay each week, and then we see you next week, okay, and then put it on the calendar. I kind of work more in the program, so you will get a chunk of time. 99% of people who do hypnotherapy sessions will start to see a shift after 4 sessions. Start to see a shift. Now, they will understand, meaning like they will notice that something's happening. Something's happening. They may not have the goal yet, but they can feel their energy's different. They're observing the world in a different way. And that's the beginning that's really the beginning. I won't do less than 3 sessions because unless you just want to relax. If you want to relax for 3 sessions, then I'll do it. But if you have a goal, like something to achieve, hypnosis and meditation are different in a lot of ways. One of the main ways is that meditation is a clearing to gain information, right? Hypnotherapy, there's always an objective. If you're being guided through a forest and you see a wise one, that's hypnosis. If I count you down and snap, that's hypnosis. If you have to be counted back out, it's much deeper of a state than meditation. But a guided meditation with an objective is a light state of hypnosis. It's just in case you were wondering. But 3 or 4 is really the bare minimum. 6 is a good amount of time to get one goal accomplished, one thing. If you want the ability to have unlimited things or multiple things as within reason, of course, then I usually will encourage people to do 9 or 12 sessions. I have kind of stopped talking about my 6-session program because nobody ever picks it.
Okay.
Everybody picks 12 because they just want the ability to, like, just in case I have more, I just want the ability to, knowing full well I'll add on sessions if they want. They just sign up with the 12 usually. And in that container, you keep all the hypnosis audios that we do in session, unless it's a spoken journey, because you don't really need to reinforce that one again. But if it's something that we want you to reinforce, then you'll listen to it throughout the week. First half is the cognitive speaking, like I mentioned, and then we go into the hypnosis based on what the objective is that week. Sometimes I will have a full plan for all sessions. I don't like to do that because I like to leave fluidity for what the client wants to do. If they come in super anxious one day, I want to be able to pivot and do, whatever they need. So it's pretty flexible. And then I like to do tarot cards in every session. I don't do it with everyone unless they don't want me to, but usually they love it. So I just read some cards to set them up for the week, give them a little energy insight for the week. But yeah, so that's kind of how it looks with me. And I don't think that's normal. I don't think, you say like, what does it normally look like? That's just what I do.
Well, so we do have one final question, but before we ask you that question, because it's a bit of a fun closer to the conversation, if that strikes someone as that they're interested or like they want to know more about you, like where do they go to check you out? Like what are the places they go? What are all the things they can get access to?
So if you just want to connect, social media, I'm always on Instagram, TikTok, as long as it stays TikTok. Is fine. And then my website's lynnseyrobinson.com. I do see clients one-on-one. If you know that you want to go deep and personal and bespoke, I don't know if that's the right way to use that word, but I'm going to do it. If you want it very personalized guidance in that way. If you just want to see what hypnotherapy, dip your toes in, if you will, to what's possible for you, I have an app called Align Your Mind. This is what you mentioned in the beginning, my membership. You can download it for free on iOS, which is the Apple service. Google, or Android phone, you can just go to, there's a separate address for that. I'm going to have to send it to you probably. But if you just click it, it's the mobile browser. So the app is great if you just want to, see how it goes. There's free resources in there so you can get started and see how it goes for you. And then I have my podcast every week called High Vibin It, where we talk about self-love, manifesting, empowerment, all these things that I think we need more of in the world.
Well, we'll put all of those on the show notes as well for those people that are interested. I'm downloading Align Your Mind right now
Yay.
because I'm down to give that a
Thank
go.
you.
Lynnsey, our final question before we kind of wrap up is
Well, Al, hold on. Before you ask that question, we typically start with a question, and I don't think we put that into the room.
Oh no. What? What's the question?
Based on everything that you've seen and experienced and the adventure you've been on, what is the one thing that you wish you could whisper into the ear of the universe and everybody knew?
I think I yelled this in the episode. I probably got too close to my microphone, but just how powerful we are, how amazing we are. Just if you could just, you don't have to believe it fully right now, but if you could just crack the door to know that it's not impossible, that you might be an all powerful creator and actually are creating your reality every second of the day, and you do have a say in what gets created. Everything would be so much easier for so many people. It's not easy. Let me put it this way. It's simple. It's a simple thing you can put into practice, but it is not really easy for anybody. I mean, it's not easy for me, and I've been doing this a long time.
yeah. Well, now, Lynnsey, you get the second question. If you are made Empress of the Universe tomorrow, and you could design your own bumper sticker for life, what would it say and why?
Oh, there's so many that come to mind. There's no wrong answer. You got to tell me there's no wrong answer. I won't ever pick one.
Oh, I thought that was going to be your bumper sticker. That there's no wrong answer.
There's another one. No, it would be, okay, it would be, there's no wrong answer. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what they're doing. I had to tell this to my 9-year-old today because, I don't know, he gets flack for having long hair sometimes. He doesn't even have long hair. He's got the kid hair. And the girls will be like, your hair looks like a girl, whatever. And I'm just like, bro, style's going to change in 2 years. Nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's making it up. So who cares? Just be you. And he doesn't care. He does not care. I care. Anyway, I would say nobody knows what they're doing. Stop shooting on yourself. It's a good one. I do it a lot. I need to stop. I should stop shooting on myself. See what I just did there? I don't know. There's so many good ones. Bumper stickers, I feel like, are supposed to be, witty and like fun and catch the eye. I honestly, I don't know. A variation of all of those.
I love nobody knows what they're doing. Like that speaks to me.
And so many people want you to think they know what they're doing and want you to do what they're doing, but nobody knows what they're doing. Ever. And doesn't that just feel nicer? Like, oh, thank gosh. Not the only one.
The pressure's off. The pressure's off, everybody.
Might as well just be happy.
Well, Bilos loves saying that. Like you do, Bilos. You said all the time. You'd be like, most beautiful thing is that I know nothing, and I just show up. He says, I show up. My mind is like a tomb. I just show up and see what's going to unfold, knowing that he knows nothing. It appears to be a beautiful place to come from. He does it better than I do.
It's a liberating thing in so many ways.
Yeah.
Lynnsey, thank you. This has been an awesome chat. I tell you what, you've opened my mind to like the hypnotherapy world in a very the word that comes to mind is gentle, but it's not really what I mean. But it's kind of that. It just feels like it's just another, like I said, another gateway into the same place. That's a kind of cool thing to go and experiment with.
Yeah.
And the way you come across just has been lovely. Like you're clearly, to me, such a fun and cheerful spiritual soul, and we love that energy. You talk about energy. You do bring a wonderful energy to like I've spoken to you a couple of times now, and it's that same feeling. So just
Thank you.
thank you for coming and sharing what you do and how you think and what you see with us. It's been awesome.
Hopefully everybody gets it. I think they will. I like to make things feel accessible because I thought I was learning Harry Potter magic, and I was very sad to learn it's something we all do all the time anyway. Whatever. No, just kidding. That's a joke.
Uh,
Jokey joke. No, but it is something that I think everybody just don't close the door. I like possibilities.
yeah, and I will just echo what Elle was putting out there. Like you have this lovely playfulness and a wicked sense of humor, and it's like you're self-deprecating in the most wonderful way, and I think that invites people in, and you're because what you have and what you're pointing to is so meaningful, and the wisdom that you shared around how powerful we actually are if we just allow ourselves to go there is such a, like, it's a nuclear thing, and but you invite people in through your lovely demeanor and your energy and your smile, and then you just deliver these truth bombs and like blow up big illusions, and it's pretty awesome. So thank you for sharing it the way you did.
Oh, thank you guys. It's been such a pleasure to hang out with you guys and have this chat. I get really, yeah. I mean, the energy you're feeling is because I like this so much. And I think it's so true. And I think that if I say it enough times, maybe it'll hit the ears in just the right way to make you think a little different about what's possible for you. So I appreciate the opportunity. You guys are absolutely wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Likewise, thank you.
Okay, folks. Well, look, that's a wrap on this one. I was just glancing back over my notes and thinking about, oh, what's the place to end here? And I saw the line that you said earlier on, Lynnsey, which was, no voice or language is more powerful than our own. And I just really like that as a place to leave, regardless of what you've heard today, what you've taken away. Just remember, your voice is the most powerful one for you. Be mindful of what it says and be careful of which you choose to listen to. And until we are with you next week, you are brilliance. Go forth and live into it. And we will see you next week.